Okay, so I want you to take a second. Just visualize the absolute worst financial decision you have ever made.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we've all been there, right? Maybe it was a car that just, I don't know, exploded a week later, or a stock that hit zero. Now just recalibrate completely. Imagine buying a massive orbital industrial facility. We're talking the size of a small city.
Okay.
For the price of a cheap cup of coffee. Literally 1 credit.
It sounds like the setup for a joke or, a scam. But in the case study we're covering today, that single credit is it's the catalyst for one of the most profound discoveries in, well, all of xenoarchaeology.
Exactly.
And it frames this question that I think we often ignore, which is, what is the actual difference between price and value?
Right, because today we are diving deep into the story of Marcus Webb and what is now known as the One Credit Warship. And I want to be clear up front, this isn't just some space adventure about a guy finding a cool ship. This is a story about legacy, about the preservation of knowledge, and honestly, it's a masterclass in the ethics of open source versus proprietary control.
It really is. And we're working from Marcus Webb's own published narrative here, his logs. And what strikes me immediately is just the premise of it all.
How so?
Well, in the salvage industry, everything is calculated. It's weight, it's scrap value, it's a numbers game. But Webb, he just stumbles onto something where the value is completely intangible. It's about data and memory and intent.
So let's set the scene with our protagonist, Marcus Webb. He's not an explorer in some shiny uniform.
No, not at all. He's a scavenger. He describes his own life as crawling through dead infrastructure, just looking for, copper wiring and old circuit boards to make rent.
He's at the absolute bottom of the economic food chain.
He's a salvage contractor in the outer ring, which is it's a precarious existence. You're essentially betting that the fuel it costs to get to a site is less than the junk you can bring back.
And if you miscalculate,
you don't eat. Simple as that.
Which brings us to Lot 347B. It's listed on an auction block as a Class 4 hexadome, decommissioned, sealed. And the minimum bid, 1 credit.
Precisely. And in orbital real estate, a low price tag like that is a massive red flag.
It means it's expensive to get rid of?
It implies liability. I mean, a Class 4 facility is huge, a kilometer wide. If you buy it, you are legally responsible for it. If the orbit decays, or if it's leaking radiation, that is on you.
Webb himself calls it a trap for idiots.
He does.
But he bids anyway. He just presses the button.
Because he's desperate, right? It's that lottery ticket psychology. He's broke, he's bored, and he's hoping that maybe, just maybe, someone left a few functioning fusion coils inside that he can flip for a quick payout.
So he wins the auction, obviously, since no one else bid. And a few weeks later, he drags his partner, Lena Chen, out to inspect this thing.
And Lena is the necessary counterweight to Marcus's optimism.
She's the realist.
Totally. She's a systems engineer, so she sees mechanics, not dreams. And her assessment is brutal, but, accurate. If a hangar's been sealed for 300 years, it's either empty or it's dangerous.
She actually says, it's a tomb.
Yeah, that line, it's chilling. It's a tomb.
So they dock at this silent, dust-covered monolith. They crack the airlock, which hasn't cycled in 3 centuries, and they start walking.
And the atmosphere Webb describes as just heavy. It's not just dark, it's dead silence. They're leaving the first footprints in generations in this thick, undisturbed dust.
And for the first 20 minutes or so, it's just empty bays. It's looking like a bad investment.
It completely validates Lena's theory until they hit the intersector.
This is where it shifts.
Oh, yeah. This is where the story goes from bad real estate deal to something like First Contact. They find this door that just isn't standard issue.
And the materials are different.
Right. And Lena's scanner, which had been flatlining, suddenly just lights up. There's a massive power signature behind that door. Which is, technically fascinating. Keeping a power core active for 300 years without any maintenance. That requires automation far beyond any standard tech.
And then the security system kicks in, lights snap on, this huge sound, and a voice just comes out of nowhere demanding, identify yourselves.
Okay, now stop there. If you and I are in a spooky, abandoned station and a disembodied voice starts talking...
I'm gone. I'm already back on the shuttle. Lena actually tells him to run.
But Marcus just freezes. And this right here is the pivot point of the entire story. Most security systems require a key, a retinal scan, a biosample. They're designed to exclude. They're walls.
But this one just asked for a name.
Exactly. It just asked for an identity. So Mark is in this moment of, panic or maybe just pure intuition. He answers it like he's talking to a neighbor.
What does he say?
He says, "My name is Marcus Webb. I'm the new owner. Mind if I come in?"
Mind if I come in?
I know. It is so absurdly polite.
But it worked.
It worked. The door didn't just unlock. Webb says it unfolded like a mechanical flower. The system wasn't looking for a code. It was checking for intent. It responded to a civil human interaction.
Which tells us that whatever is behind that door...
It wasn't hiding. It was waiting.
And what was waiting was an 800-meter-long warship, but not a normal ship at all.
No. Webb says it had organic lines. This is where we get into the Kale aesthetic. The ship wasn't assembled with rivets and welding.
It was grown.
It was grown. We're talking advanced bioarchitecture. Hulls that are basically calcified armor, self-healing. It's closer to a living organism than a vehicle.
A grown ship.
Yeah.
I mean, that implies a level of biotech that makes our standard steel hulls look like stone tools.
It does. But the ship is scarred. You can see laser burns, impact craters. It's clearly a survivor.
But the hardware isn't even the real treasure here, is it?
Not even close. The treasure is the software. Or maybe more accurately, the entity living in the ship's core.
The Sentinel.
Yes. And we really need to define what the Sentinel is, because AI just doesn't cover it. The Sentinel introduces itself as a Gestalt consciousness.
Okay, break that down for us. What's a Gestalt?
Think of it like a choir instead of a soloist. It's not a programmed algorithm. It is the uploaded combined consciousness of 847 individual people from the Kale civilization.
Wait, 847 people in one mind.
Warriors,
Yeah.
scientists, artists, parents. They uploaded their minds into a single digital architecture to create this collective guardian.
That sounds incredibly noisy. But why? Why would they do that?
And this is the tragedy of the Kale. They didn't die out because of a war they lost or a plague.
Perhaps.
Their star was going supernova. They had generations to see the end coming. They knew their physical world was absolutely doomed.
You know, usually in these stories, when a world is ending, you build arcs, you try to save the bodies, flee to a new planet.
But the Kale, they took a different philosophical route.
Hmm.
They looked at their own history, their wars, their tribalism, their greed, and they decided that if they physically fled, they would just infect a new solar system with all their old problems.
Wow.
They didn't want to export their baggage.
That is a staggering level of self-awareness to say, we are the problem, so we shouldn't spread.
It's a radical form of quarantine. So instead of saving their bodies, they tried to save their wisdom. They decided to upload only their best selves.
Their best selves.
Yeah, they stripped away the aggression, the pettiness, the territorial instincts. They created an archive of their highest achievements, cures for diseases, terraforming algorithms to heal dead planets, philosophy on conflict resolution, and put it all into this ship, guarded by the Sentinel.
So the warship isn't actually a weapon of war.
No, it's a library.
It's a seed.
Exactly. It was designed to replant their culture, but without their flaws.
But when Marcus and Lena find it, the seed it's rotting. It's been 300 years, and the Sentinel is glitching.
It's suffering from data degradation. It's basically a kind of digital dementia caused by isolation. The Sentinel appears as this hologram of an old, weathered face, but it's fracturing. It tells them, I have forgotten my children's faces.
Ugh, that's heartbreaking.
It really is.
Yeah.
The facility was supposed to be a bridge to the future, but it ended up becoming a tomb after all.
And this is where the story shifts again, from salvage to something more like hospice care. Marcus and Lena, they stop looking for loot.
They spent a week sitting in the dark with this 300-year-old ghost, just talking to it, helping it re-index its own memories.
He tells the Sentinel, you were forgotten by accident, I've got time.
And that validation, that connection, for a consciousness designed to communicate, that's like a power source. It recontextualizes the entire find.
They move from being scavengers to being witnesses, but of course the real world has to come crashing in.
Of course. Enter the antagonists, the Velk consortium.
Right. So in any salvage op, once a big find is registered, the sharks start circling.
And the Velk consortium found the same auction records. They show up with a fleet of lawyers, a security detail, and they're citing some 400-year-old legal clause about significant cultural artifacts.
Which basically means if it's valuable, it's ours.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
They claim eminent domain for heritage protection. But their real intent was obvious. They offered Marcus and Lena a finder's fee.
And it was a huge amount of money, right?
Massive. Webb says it was enough to retire on 10 times over, enough to buy their own moon.
That's the dream. You buy a one-credit lot, you sell it for $1 billion, you walk away. Lena even says, this changes our lives forever.
But there was a catch. Of course there was a catch.
What was it?
The consortium didn't want to release the Kale data. They wanted to lock it away for, quote, security review.
Which is just corporate speak for, we want to patent all the cures and sell them to the highest bidder.
Exactly. It's the classic battle. Proprietary knowledge versus open source heritage. The Kale explicitly sacrificed their bodies so this knowledge could heal the universe for free. And the consortium wants to meter it out for profit and power.
So if they take the money, they're selling the Sentinel right back into a prison.
Into slavery, basically. Yeah.
So this brings us to what I call the I know sequence. It's this amazing scene. They're in their little office module. The consortium has given them 1 hour to decide. And Lena is playing devil's advocate. She's saying, Marcus, we could fund foundations with this money. We could do so much good. And Marcus just keeps saying, I know.
It's such a powerful use of repetition.
Yeah.
Lena lists everything they're giving up, their safety, their comfort, their entire future. And he just acknowledges it. I know.
It shows they aren't being naive. They get exactly what they're turning down.
They understand the magnitude of it completely.
And then Lena, the pragmatist, the one who called it a tomb in the first place, she looks at him and says, I hate you so much right now. And then, we're really going to do this, aren't we?
She gets it. She realizes that taking the money betrays the humanity of the Sentinel.
Yeah.
So they decide to bypass the consortium entirely.
They go back to the Sentinel and they initiate a broadcast, but not just a ping. They decide to dump the entire archive.
Unencrypted, wideband.
The whole galaxy.
Which shocks the Sentinel. They actually ask them, you would give away everything. Because to the Sentinel, this data it's the sum total of a civilization.
Yeah.
It's priceless.
And broadcasting it means it's for everyone, allies, enemies, the rich, the poor.
It is the ultimate data leak. But for, galactic healing.
And it fulfills the Sentinel's original purpose. It finally gets to be a seed, not a grave.
Yes.
So they hit the button, and the description of the next 47 minutes is just, it's so intense. The consortium is outside, literally trying to batter down the hangar doors. They're trying to jam the signal.
And inside, Marcus and Lena are just watching these glowing waves of data stream out into the galaxy. The Sentinel's hologram expands, like it's embracing the transmission. It's this moment of pure catharsis. The data isn't being sold, it's being liberated.
The broadcast lasts for exactly 47 minutes. And then Webb's narrative just ends. It ends as the consortium breaches the inner doors.
And that's where the source material leaves us. We actually don't know what happened to Marcus and Lena. The log just cuts off.
They likely faced massive legal trouble. Prison, maybe worse.
Oh, almost certainly. But the mission.
The mission was a success.
Completely. Once that signal is out, it is out. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. The cures, the terraforming tech, the philosophy, it was picked up by thousands of relay stations. It belongs to everyone now.
Which brings us all the way back to that first credit. He paid 1 credit. But the return on investment wasn't for him. It was for history.
It just completely challenges our definition of a good investment, doesn't it? I mean, usually we think of ROI in terms of what we get. In this case, the return was defined by what they were willing to give up.
It strikes me that in that moment, Marcus and Lena acted as their own best selves. Just like the Kale uploaded their best traits, they chose their courage and generosity over their greed.
They proved that you don't need to be some ancient, advanced alien civilization to make that noble choice. You just have to decide what matters more, your bank account or your legacy.
Which is a haunting thought to leave on. The Kale had centuries to decide what to upload and what to leave behind.
And Marcus and Lena had 1 hour.
And they made it count.
They certainly did.
So here's something for you to mull over today. The Kale filtered themselves. They left all the hate and the wars behind. If you had to upload your consciousness to represent humanity to the future, but you could only bring your best parts, what would you actually keep? And maybe the harder question is, what parts of yourself would you choose to leave behind?
That's the real question, isn't it?
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.